Today is the 7th of July 2023. It is the so-called Saba day because it is the 7th day of the 7th month. When I endeavored to tape this information, I wanted to have 7 different points to talk about the 7th day of the 7th month. But challenges in editing can come, whereby you find that you are stuck at the 5th point, you try to stretch it into 7th, or you find that you have 9 and you try to shrink to 7th. Let me try. The original Saba was on 7th July 1954 when Mwalimu Julius Kabarange Nyerere formed the Tanzania African National Union, TANU. TANU later became the ruling party in Tanzania mainland. By then it used to be called Tanganyika. So when Tanganyika attained independence, they used to have a public holiday on 7th July commemorating the day that the ruling party TANU started. Later on, 1964, Tanganyika and Zanzibar formed a union, and you'd find that the ruling party in Zanzibar was called Afro-Shirati Party, and Tanzania in the mainland, it used to be TANU. So at first they formed a country which was called United Republic of Tanzania, but the two had 2 different ruling parties. Later TANU and Afro-Shirati formed together and became one party, which they changed their name to Chama cha Mapinduzi, CCM. And CCM, up to today, July 7th, 2023, CCM is the ruling party in Tanzania. Other African countries copied TANU. In Kenya, we had KANU, Kenya Africa National Union. They borrowed the name from TANU, where instead of T, they placed it K to stand for KANU, Kenya. In other countries, they also copied that. In Zimbabwe, there was ZANU. But ZANU in Zimbabwe broke down just the way the Ford broke down in Kenya. We had Ford People, we had Ford Asili, we had Ford Kenya. Now ZANU broke into 3. One arm was headed by Reverend Dambaningi Sidole. Another one was headed by Bishop Abel Muzorewa. And the third one, which was foreign-based, but its leader was in jail, was headed by Gabriel Mugabe, Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Now, when they were heading to independence, there was another party which was called ZAPU, Zimbabwe African People's Union. It was headed by Joshua Nkomo. Now, the ZANU, which was associated with Robert Gabriel Mugabe, became closer. They formed a union with ZAPU of Joshua Nkomo. Just like Wiper and ODM have formed Azimio. They formed what they called Patriotic Front. But ZAPU just called itself ZAPU. Although when they met in the country or even abroad, Lancaster House, they would come and meet as patriotic front. Kenyans will understand me because you find there are times when Raila talks in his capacity as ODM leader, and there are times when he talks in his capacity as Azimio leader. Now, when they were having that, the powerful person was Joshua Nkomo. But the problem with Nkomo is that he came from a small tribe. And Mugabe came from a big tribe. In Kenya, I can say, there was no way Ronald Ngala with his Kadu would have taken over instead of Jomo Kenyatta, who came from the large Kikuyu tribe, Mijikenda and Kikuyu, something like that. That is how TANU came, and that is how TANU extended. The first Saba have said it has to do with the ruling party TANU. The second point that I wanted to talk about Saba is that later on, we had this Tanzanian, the Kenyans will understand Nairobi International Show. Tanzania, they also introduced Dar es Salaam International Trade Fair Show. It usually runs on 7th July of every year. So it is much more known as the day for, those from Nairobi, you know about September going to Nairobi show. So it is Saba Trade Fair. Then, for reasons that I've never understood, the Ugandan rebels who overthrew Idi Amin in the 1980s, those who overthrew him in 1980s formed a group called Saba. Now, if it is because they came from Tanzania, I do not know. There is a musician called Shichangi who sang a very entertaining, actually it's a comedy of a song called Saba. So the first one was the day when TANU was formed. The second one is Dar es Salaam International Trade Fair. The third one is anti-Amin revolutionaries. The fourth one is the fight for multi-party. The biggest demonstrations were on 7th July 1990. And again, a smaller one, but also, you know, even if it is a small one, but it came to add on top of the other one, was on 8th August 1990. Now this one they called it Saba, the other one they called it Nane. My points are running out. I can only talk of the current Saba, which is happening today. I expect it not to bring up a lot of things, because circumstances in the 80s, in the 90s, is different from what is there today. In the 90s, there was a lot of political assassinations. You can remember, that is the year that in February, Ouko was killed. It is also in August of the same year that Bishop Alexander Kipsang Muge died. There was a lot of detaining people without trial. So the complaint, if I have to be very fair, if I have to be very sincere, the complaint that Kenyans had at that time was they had political hardships. Today, they have economical hardships. Ruto had an option of postponing our problems to the next government. He has taken a move that most people take in their second term. Remember, the reason why Ruto and Uhuru differed was that Uhuru did not want Ruto to campaign, but Uhuru wanted Ruto to assist him fulfill his agenda. So, in many cases, you'll find that the second term is when the president now takes bold steps. But Ruto has decided to take the bold step in the first term. So the problems Kenyans are having now is the problem of economic hardships. But in 1990, the problems were political hardships. So thinking that we can solve an economic problem using political, well, I have to wait and see. The other thing I can say is that Raila is now moving out of his sell by date. You know, Raila, who could wait until his father is addressing meetings and then he comes with a riotous youth and does everything, is different from the 77 going to 80 years. His health does not allow. I would not even advise him to go near tear gas. The other thing that is happening is that a number of Kenyans are tired. But most important is a number of Kenyans have come to form an opinion, whether it is true or not, but a number of Kenyans have come to form an opinion that Raila uses such occasions to have a business transaction. So it could be wrong, but if people believe that that is what you're going to do, you know, there are times when people believe something. They follow what they believe, but they do not follow the facts. So I would want to say that today's mandamano will be a look. Okay, they are saying that it will be used as a time to start signing those, expecting Kenyans will sign. You want 2 million signatures, you'll get. But telling me that you'll have Kenyans sign signatures and Ruto comes out of the seat, that one is out. Raila has gone out of the target. The target should have been IEBC selection. You see, by the time they get the 2 million signatures and such things, by then the new commissioners would have come in and it would be too late. That is my opinion on Saba.